Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the United States Chess Championship. It is round number 4 out of 13. It's going to be a very long event. Today was very exciting on the chessboard. We had a tremendous amount of interesting games. I know for a fact you're going to enjoy this recap. Before we jump into the games, though, something really scary and stressful happened today, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. It's separate from the games. When I made my YouTube video this morning, the recap of US Championship Round 3 with Christopher Yu on the thumbnail, I realized I couldn't monetize my video. My entire channel no longer had access to monetization. Now, you would think, oh, it's because you said something good. No, I didn't get demonetized. Old videos had ads. I just couldn't see any of the ads, and I wasn't able to monetize any of my future uploads. This happened to like hundreds of people for no reason. And the whole day, the last basically 12 to 16 hours, we have been refreshing Twitter constantly. What's going on? No one knows. I've talked to like a dozen creators. Nobody knows what's going on. And I really feel for the smallest of creators who rely on YouTube 100% as their income, and they just literally can't do anything. 5 minutes before I hit record on this video, my monetization just reappeared out of the blue. And it was scary, man. And listen, I know I'm in a very privileged position, so I'm trying to draw more attention to the fact that it's just terrifying to know that it can go like this. I mean, especially if it's 100% of your livelihood, and if you're a smaller creator and you just don't know, and there's nobody to contact. You just basically sit there and hope and pray that it kind of gets resolved. So listen, I'm glad that it's coming back. It was an extremely stressful day. That last video, you might have noticed there was no pre-roll ad, nothing. It just like that, boom, gone. Who knows how it affects the other stuff? And just so you understand, monetization on YouTube, it's like if a video is monetized, it's going to get pushed into the algorithm because YouTube has an incentive to push it into the algorithm because it's going to make YouTube money, it's going to make creator money. If videos aren't monetized, YouTube's like, yeah, whatever, just leave it over there. It'll, people will watch maybe. So, I mean, listen, I'm in a position where I can handle a day 2, 3, no monetization. I'll be mad, but I won't, I think, but that was just crazy. Just an insane day. And I just sat here refreshing Twitter, refreshing YouTube, just being like, I don't know, do I post videos? Do I wait? I have no idea. Seems like it's okay. Hopefully it continues to be okay. And that means we have some games to analyze. Anyway, this was going to be a totally different intro if I hadn't just seen it refreshed, but I can't imagine. I just really can't imagine being like a small creator. You make, you're putting out a video like once a week. This is going to be the video. You just make no money on it. I don't know. They're definitely, no one's going to make up for lost revenue, and especially none of that stuff is going to happen. So yeah, it's crazy. Digital stuff is wild. One day you just boom, that's it, and you don't make any revenue. Wild stuff, wild times. But as I said, I am not complaining really on my own behalf. I'm sort of saying that that's crazy. All right, thank you for listening. Just rant over. Let's watch some chess. Jennifer Yu versus Sophie Morris Suzuki. Jennifer Yu is like a hockey fighter of a chess player. I don't know, there's hockey players that play hockey. And then there's hockey players that fight in every single hockey match. She's sort of the latter. So she plays in English, and her opponent plays a symmetrical English, and she plays a very strange move order, knight f6, not knight c6. And now I guess the idea was g3 d5 or knight f3 d5, and white plays e4. So black now no longer has this option. Black plays d6, and then both sides fianchetto and both sides castle. Okay, so both sides have castle. Now, the English is all about center control all around here. White will consider f4. Black will consider all of this. White will consider this as well. White sometimes considers going down to h6. The symmetrical English is one of the most boring openings to ever exist, except for the exchange French, which if you play unironically, then you're a blood-sucking leech on society. So 98. Now, the point of 98 is that black secures control over d4, either by immediately going there or by playing knight c7, knight e6, and then putting one of these knights, these knights on d4. So bishop e3, knight d4, queen d2, and you sort of see all of this kind of coming to fruition. Now here comes f4. Like I said, Jennifer Yu is a hockey fighter of a chess player. I would highly consider f5 here. Computer's going to hate it. but I don't ever want to let white kind of get away with whatever they want. Another idea here by black, by the way, just so you understand, f4 is just completely designed to discourage this move. Because after f5, you have to leave. You can take and then try to, like, replace this knight, but this is just take, bishop h6. I don't know. It's just a very unpleasant position for black. Okay, so black plays rook to b8 instead. White plays knight d5. We have a trade. Clearly, the move knight d5 was not preferred at all by the engine. The computer kind of doesn't worry about any of this and says white should just chug along. But white is a human, white is not stockfish, and after knight e6, it's quite clear that b5 is on the way. Black could have even played b5 now. In fact, that was the best move. I'm not really sure why black did not play the move b5, if I'm being honest. I mean, there's an interesting idea here to sacrifice an exchange, but it doesn't really work at all. There's like, you think you get some big attack, but there's nothing really there. So knight e6, and now black plays b5. But now white plays rook a d1, and it's sort of like, well, there's no target. I don't really understand what you're doing. And now that the queen side is closed, well, that's going to be an issue for black. Queen f2. Queen f2. There's an attack coming over here. In fact, the attack was so strong, Jennifer Yu could have played it right now. Because if knight d4, she would have taken, e6, good night. Good night, and also good night. That was hilarious. Come to my comedy show. Seriously, actually, I would consider stand-up comedy. Before I like retire from everything. I was going to say before I die, but I feel like I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. I want to try stand-up comedy. I might be terrible at it, but I really enjoy it. Well, some of you, most of you watch me on YouTube, so you've never seen me behave like an idiot on Twitch. But and parents, don't let your kids watch Twitch. It's crazy. It'll poison their minds. Have them read a book or something. Bishop d4, cd4, queen d4, and you know, white is a pawn up, and white is about to start a very devastating attack. First, white needs to come back and deal with all of this nonsense by bolstering the center. But we are just moments away from disaster. King h1 is a nice move to get the king off the diagonal. And it's about to get really nasty. Queen g5. Attacking this, attacking this. Now, black plays queen d4, defending the bishop. But here comes rook e4, forcing the queen further into the territory. This is lost. The game is over, but black doesn't resign just yet. Because you never know. You never know. You want to make white win the game by force, right? Rook h4, various ideas. Here black plays the move rook f8. Another piece has arrived on the bay of the attack. Rook h7, bishop, knight, everything. And the game ends in style after the move queen to e2 as Jennifer Yu finds checkmate in 5. You can pause here and try to find it. I'm going to take a sip of water. Boom! Boom! And then you just quietly, take the bishop. You quietly take the pawn. And you know what you really should do here? Instead of mating, you should mate in 2. Actually, you should repeat moves once. But Jennifer Yu plays queen h7, delivers mate. That is 4 decisive games. 4 decisive games for Jennifer Yu. And yeah, I mean, she plays like really exciting chess. There was a lot of decisive game today in the women's side, but a lot of them were kind of like grinding endgame style victories. And those are wins a win. But this is, you know, this is pretty cool. Wesley So versus Sam Shankland was an exciting game. It was a Sicilian defense. It was a Najdorf Sicilian defense. I'm going to keep clicking the forward arrow. Not that this is important to you whatsoever. This is all mainline stuff. This has all been played thousands of times. The biggest surprise comes on move 10, where Wesley So plays a move that has not been played more than 40 times in a position that has been reached probably 10,000 times, which is kind of nuts. Like here, white can play h3, a3, probably a4, probably a queen move, maybe f3, maybe queen d2. Plays rook e1. Now, I'm not going to lie. Rook e1 looks completely, like it just looks like a brain-dead move. Right? Just look at the move. How can this move make any sense? But that's the thing about the Najdorf. The Najdorf is like the most pretentious art exhibit, you know? Where basically anybody at any point can go, voila, that's art. And then you're going to have people like, I don't get it. But you're going to have the people like, oh, that's so fascinating. It reminds me of this and this and this and this. Like, I've been at museums. Sometimes look at something. I'm like simple-minded guy. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But if I see just splotches, I'm like, I don't get it. But, you know, people go. So Rook E1 looks insane. Why? For what? For whomst are you doing this, right? Well, it has some idea behind it. I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it to you, but the point is you have to play chess. Like, maybe the rook is going to be useful in the future. Maybe white just... Like, I don't understand the difference between the move h3 and rook e1. I really don't. But we're about to find out, okay? Sam is playing a lot of normal moves. And the funniest thing is these guys actually... So now we're sort of starting to see, right? Like, maybe the rook is going to be useful in the future. I don't know. Maybe... I don't know. So all of this has happened. This entire position up until this point has been played before. I think in either 1998 or 2008. I just know that it ended in an 8, I believe. And here Wesley plays bishop c1, which is top engine move. He plays the best move. This was a deviation from the previous game. And knight c4, and you see black is trying to create counterplay. But the thing about black's queenside counterplay in the Sicilian is that normally the king's house is here, which would make sense. That you are attacking viciously down the side of a board where the king lives. But yo, the king is over here. All your heavy artillery is firing into a cornfield. All right, it's not even crop season. You're just destroying insects. Well, if you're destroying mosquitoes. Are mosquitoes insects? Hey Siri, are mosquitoes insects? Oh my god, my phone is so glitchy. Sorry if I activated your Siri. I don't know. Wasps, mosquitoes, they need to die. I hate them. Bishop e2. So the point is, look, while you got this big attack going on over here, right? You got this big attack. I drew the arrows in the opposite direction. My arrows jumped ahead of what I wanted to say. As you got this big attack going on here, you actually slowly start realizing you don't threaten anything, and it's white who has tangible threats. And so Wesley, I love saying that, and so Wesley, as opposed to Shanklin Sam, is just gonna very slowly and methodically improve his position. Now, here black can play this move, and if white takes, they lose the queen. But if queen takes I apologize. If queen takes b3 had been played in this position, then white would have played the move rook b1. Rook b1, rook, queen a3, and then maybe queen g3, with the threat of this and this. I think. I don't know. I haven't talked to the players. Bishop a7. And Wesley begins pushing and consolidating his position. And I think Sam might have been a bit confused here. Like, why is he letting me play d5 so easily? Right? Here's d5. Right? d5 on the board. Rook c8 now. So we got pressure this way and this way. But I think here Sam had to go back with the other rook. He had to sort of stay put this way. Because the way he did it in the game, he got blocked, and then if you try to go back to the way it was, you're just going to lose this pawn. So the A pawn proved to be much more of a liability for black than anything in white's position was a liability, E or C pawn. So white won the A pawn, and then it went from bad to worse very quickly. It wasn't just about the queen side. The haymaker, the left haymaker, over the top, right on the button, boom, rook f6. Sacrificing a rook for a knight or a rook for a bishop like this to open up a king is a very, very common idea in a handful of different positions, and this being one of them, because very quickly knight g4 comes in, and you think, oh, the king guards everything. Oh, no, the king does not guard everything. You said, no, Levy, the king guards everything. No, that's adorable that you think that, but once the rook goes this way, e d5, and it's probably just game over. Like h5, for example. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if you could take, like knight takes f6. Look, this is equal, apparently, this position's minus 0.7, despite being down a rook. But you can also just retreat, and you're +4. And Sam just went, like I said, from bad to worse, because Wesley blocked the position, attacked the f pawn, took on e4, and there was just nothing. There was absolutely nothing. Even though it looks like black is getting counterplay, knight f5 is way more vicious. Rook a8 is on the way, and queen g3 is on the way. And the game ends right here, because if you take on f5, I got this guy over here. I mean, when the rook is on the home square, is it really a rook? I don't know. Rook e5, queen g4 mate. Wesley wins a very complex battle. Super complicated game. Yeah, I mean, very exciting. Super, super exciting game. So, big win for Wesley. versus Sam Shanklin. He gets a very well-deserved victory. Super complicated game. Another one. It's the hero of chess, Christopher Yu, as he is looking to win once again, this time against Alexander Lenderman, who lost to a Wonder Liang. That was either yesterday or the day before. This game was a Catalan. It was a Catalan where black took on c4 and then plays a6 and bishop b4 check. So a6 is a very interesting move. There's two ideas behind it. Number one, I played this myself, a6, in a tournament against Bortnik, not Alexander, but Mikola. I don't know if you remember that game. If castles, black can play knight c6, rook b8. But there's another very sharp line by black, which is b5. Now, I doubt Chris Yu was going to play this, because it's a very crazy line. But that is the main line. But knight e5 prevents b5. And this is all theory. I've seen this before. Castles. And then in this position, I only know about knight c3, bc3, and I think you can like take this and then take this. So black goes up 3 pawns, but it's a extremely sharp line. Something like this where the rook is hanging, and I mean it's just super, like it's like queen e5, bishop f4 first. I mean something totally nuts. So rather than doing all of that, because you probably aren't prepared for it, you should probably just castle. And then here, Lenderman plays knight e4. Knight e4 is some sort of new idea. It's been played a few times and it scores over 55%, I think, for white, which is substantial at the high level. Black plays b5, and basically white's like, yeah, you can have the pawn. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna play b3. You can have the pawn, but if you take this pawn, I'm gonna go here. And it doesn't look like white has anything. But it's very hard for black to make moves. It's just very hard to make moves. You play bishop b7, very natural move. Okay, great. Queen c2, make another one. You can't play c5. Okay, you play knight d7, obviously, very logical move. Now I'm gonna mate you. Okay, I'm gonna mate you. Okay, very nice. You defended this? Yeah, knight g4. Now I'm gonna take this, and then I'm gonna mate you once again. This is a very complex game. Now, up until this, the players were following the game Bogdan Daniel Deak versus Parham Maksudlu in an online game. And in that game, Deak played this, Parham played this, and the game went on. In this game, Lenderman plays the best move. He plays a3, top engine move. So that means that Lenderman came prepared. He knew that game, he got here, and he probably knew the rest of the moves too, because this is once again the top engine move. Remember, they're scanning there. This is all preparation. b4, right? When I say top engine move now, I used to be able to say that, but I can't. So all of this has been played before. Here the computer says that black has to just part ways with this pawn. Christopher Yu was not prepared to part ways with this pawn, and after ab4, he's already in serious trouble. So Lenderman's prep, bulletproof, amazing prep. Point is that if you play bishop takes b4, I actually just trade your bishop. As ridiculous as this looks, at some point, black sits there and goes, wait a minute, 6 out of my 7 functional pieces are in the back rank. This is not good. What's going to happen is white is going to win the pawn back, and then the position is going to be amazing, right? Position is going to be really, really good after that. So I can't do that, and Chris Yu plays f6. Well, what happens is, finally he takes on b4, and Lenderman still continues with all this pressure. He gets rid of this bishop, takes, and puts his knight on c5. Now, Lenderman didn't play this perfectly. Black is still up a pawn, but this is weak, that's weak, that's weak. e5. de5, rook b5, get out of here. Get the knight out of there. But the knight is going to attack the pawn. Pawn sneaks through. Now nobody's attacking the pawn. Knight c3, trying to ask for an exchange. Now, Chris Yu here could have played knight c3, queen c3. I don't exactly understand why he didn't go for this. I guess he thought that if he gets to a position like this, after even just a simple queen c2, his position kinda sucks. Like, I mean, I'm assuming this is what he thought. I'm not saying his position sucks, but he's got very tough pawn structure. And instead of doing that, he decided to do this and sacrifice an exchange. But white doesn't have to take it. So if white takes it, you know, suddenly white might get mated. White might get mated this way too. So instead of that, Lenderman's like, nah, let's go to this endgame. So we still get here, okay? Middle endgame kind of style game. Lennerman's gonna, look at that, rook exchange to damage the structure once again. Rook b1, okay? Bishop e4 attacks h7, h6, queen c3, very slowly trying to make some improvements. Rook d1, okay? Now, you can bet we're gonna see the move h4 at some point. Just a decent move, doesn't really weaken white's king. Good idea to maybe fix the structure a little bit later. Here comes e4. Here comes queen d3. Look how spread out black's pawns are. There's h4, by the way. e5, c5, a5, all sitting ducks. Quack. All right? King h2. One pawn falls. Position is opening up as Chris Yu is looking for counterplay, but there's just a second pawn falling. All right? Now you got to run with the 3 little piggies to the last house, all right, which the wolf can't blow down, right? King g1 protecting against mate. I mean, it looks like mate is on the way, but it's not. If you play queen h6, I simply take with check and I get to your king first. So g4, and even though black is winning some pawns, he's just not fast enough. The attack is way too strong. The threats on the king are too strong. And Lenderman uses a series of checks to pick up a decisive amount of pawns and begin the conversion process. And he actually, in shocking fashion, missed checkmate in 3? En passant, queen h4, queen f4. So that's cool. I guess he might have had low time, but he still wins the game by going up 3 pawns and not, you know, not blundering any mate of his own. So mate was always possible here. By the way, just in case you're confused, he didn't take the queen because he was in check. So yeah, Lennerman didn't spot the mate in 3, or I don't know, maybe he was in time trouble, but he still wins. And unfortunately for us, Christopher Yu goes down. Christopher Yu also has 4 decisive games. If he can continue this, if he goes 7 wins, 6 losses, as far as I'm concerned, he is still he's still great. Now, Hans Niemann versus Fabiano Caruana. This is a big one. Both these guys have 2 points out of 3. They are both looking to be in a first place kind of spot on his own. And yeah, let's see what happens. So Hans begins and plays into a Nimso Indian. Fabiano captures and plays. Here he already actually plays a sideline. The most common move here is not h6. It's dc4. Fabi throws in this move. And by the way, the game yesterday between Shankland and Hans went dc, queen c4, b6, knight f3, bishop a6, queen c1. Do you remember that game? So Hans played what Shankland played against him, but he plays it against Fabiano. Fabiano plays h6 right away. And from the opening, like knight c6 is a totally unique approach, right? He doesn't play any b6 stuff, doesn't play c6. So Fabiano plays this very unique way where he just, notice, he plays knight c6, rook e8, and e5. He just tries to liberate the position entirely. And like 14 moves into this game, Fabiano had a 40-minute time advantage. So Hans, once again, same with Shankland, same now in this game. He's down very early on the clock, right? So he just plays natural developing moves. And if you're wondering why at any point white has not taken the pawn, for example, like this, knight a6 here would have been very strong. Also, e4 would have been annoying. Now, once again, why do you not take on c7? Because now knight d7 would be strong. And there, even though you can take both pawns, this is too annoying for white. It's too scary for white. Okay? So he once again doesn't take. And now he can't take. And now the c-pawn is actually becoming an asset. So it's kind of funny. Fabi sort of waved the red flag in front of the bull, and the bull was like, if I go there, I might get turned into like bison burger. I might. So d6. Wait, are bison and bull even the same thing? I don't know. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. Rook d8. Hans trying to play a5, controlling the movement of this knight. Now something really strange happens here. Fabi plays this move, and Hans plays h3. And then in this position, he doesn't take with the bishop, because I guess he didn't like e4, which would have potentially left his pawn scattered. Instead of that, he takes with the g-pawn. And then he goes queen b4, but black is just rock solid, right? Like, he's rotating the knight over, and it's very clear that he's straight up threatening some big attack. So we get this, and the knight comes back. And a6 is just a nice, useful move to potentially damage the pawn structure. ba, and he just loses the d-pawn. So the d-pawn just falls. Fabi is just a pawn up. Now Fabi has to win the game. g6, h5 for yet another time. You saw Lennerman did it in his game. It's just good sometimes in endgames to sort of play like this with your flank pawn advanced and potentially locking the enemy structure. And now it's basically a question of, will Fabi win this position or will Hans draw it, okay? Fabi is a pawn up, okay? Fabi is not demonetized on YouTube. Shout out to, shout out to his podcast. And even though he now does have a very lucrative career as a full-time podcaster, he still plays chess from time to time. And he goes g5, and it's very clear he will be trying to create a passed h-pawn. That's what he's trying to do. So he defends the knight, and now it's move 40. So we've made the time control. We repeat moves once. Hans plays f4. Very interesting idea. There's gf here, but then this, and your pawn's not going anywhere. Okay, there's ef here, but then I'm going to take, and hit you with that move, and that's going to suck. So we have this. This. Okay. Black is still up a pawn. But here comes f3. Here comes the next wave. Rook e5 kicks out the bishop. All right, king g2, rook b5. Caruana looking for as much pressure as possible. But Hans not going anywhere in this game. Zips the rook out back. He's down 2 pawns. But he's just in time to create some counterplay. Fabi plays king back to f6. Rook h5, looking for rook f5. Rook b5, check, here. Bishop h5. Oh my goodness, both these pawns are going to fall. One of them does. Oh my goodness, is Fabi not going to win this game? The only move here for white, rook here. Because if you play this, of course I trade and I win. The only move, rook g4 for white. f4, rook b3 check. King h2, rook b2 check. King h2, so they're going to make a draw. They're making a draw, right? Well, as it turns out, after rook b3 check, king h2, rook b2, white had 3 king moves. He played the one that would have repeated and would have made his king more active, right? Like this, right? So he got checked once, went here, got checked again, and now the game proceeded. But apparently, Fabi giving this check allowed this, which is a draw. The point is that if you check, I come up, and the king going to g1 or f1, getting closer to the c-pawn is the key, while also staying close to these 2 pawns. By going forward, you are now cut off by the rook and far away from the c-pawn, right? That's the problem. So this position, despite being dead equal in material, is winning for black. Your king needed to be closer to the promotion square, and it was not. Now, king d4 here wins immediately, and then you just escort the pawn and the rook goes behind. But Fabi plays rook e3, which gives one final chance in the form of rook h6. And if you play c5 and just run the pawn, I give a check here, and I force your king in front of your c-pawn. If you go here, I check you, and if you go this way, I have time to run my king over to the side of the board. You go here, I have king e2, and that's it. So in this position, Fabi doesn't find rook, he doesn't find king d4, but he plays this move. And then he wins this pawn, and now he is completely winning. Completely winning. Okay? I think the one final moment here that Hans could have drawn was king f2. But king d3, and you just run the king over here, and the c-pawn goes. You run the king over here as well to shoulder this king away. You can play like rook c1, and the king just never gets close. All right, Chael Sonnen style, c5, c4, and so on. So king f2 would have been it. He tries rook d6 to cut the king off, but it's not good enough. It's just not good enough because the c-pawn will come, you will now play this, and the king will run in front. So the white king will never get close, and the king runs all the way over here, and a combination of checks to this king and short side defense draws, but you are on the long side, right? The long side, the 2 sides where the pawn is, you're on the long side, and you will stay on the long side as the c-pawn advances, and the game will end because black will get down here, and then very promptly shield from checks with the rook, and that will be the deciding factor of the game. Fabiano Caruana beats Hans Niemann and does not get his YouTube channel demonetized. After 4 rounds of action, Fabi is, I believe, in first place now with 3 points out of 4. But it doesn't really matter because, yeah, 3, the only one. Sevian with 2.5, doesn't really matter. We have a bunch more rounds to go. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's recap. And I look forward to the remaining rounds. I also look forward to making YouTube videos every day because I thought I was going to have to take some sort of break. I'm very happy I don't have to. Yeah, that was terrifying. I hope nobody gets their channel demonetized for that long ever again. That was not cool. And very scary to rely on a platform that you have absolutely zero control or input over. On that note, I will see you in tomorrow's recap. Get out of here.